Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Junkies. We are reviewing
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us,
Well,
the series.
first episode.
The first episode, and obviously the series is landing on the 16th.
Which is like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days away. And we saw a preview at the IMAX, no less.
BFI IMAX.
So it was writ large, it was big on the screen and all that kind of
Huge.
stuff. Now, I'm going to confess, we have the game. I've played it for half an hour and then ran out of time.
Right.
All I know...
I haven't played the whole game. I've not played much of it.
No, but you know your friends love it. And
yeah, and I follow all of the I kind of just see all of the lore behind it, like,
Yeah.
you know, all the story.
And it has a big
bits.
following, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said that when we reacted to the trailer.
The BFI IMAX was full.
This is true, actually, as if I should have just turned around and I'd have realised that. But all I know or knew about this before I went into the screening was what you said when we saw the trailer, which is on the channel, but is the fact that it's the lead protagonist, the woman in it, is the first, am I right in saying, bisexual kind of character in a video game? Yeah. And
well, I mean, I don't know if she was the first ever, but
right, yeah, but it's quite notable that she was. Or is. I think that's amazing. And essentially, it's the idea is based obviously on the computer game, and for me, historically, things that are based on computer games rarely cut the mustard.
Well,
exactly, they rarely sort of cut through. They rarely sort of translate. It feels a bit sort of, the story arcs are a bit thin. Rarely do full characterization. So I went into this a little bit cautious. And really the premise is not entirely dissimilar to something like The Walking Dead, but it's a lot richer. Explain to it. Yeah. So you were trying to remember what the virus was. I was saying, is it a virus? What's happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I love about it so much is that it's like a fungal virus, which is just really believable. Like, so believable to think that there is a fungus that would just control your brain and keep you alive after being dead, all of that kind of stuff. So I always found that interesting, how it was just it was a completely new take on it, and it's the fact that they move really fast as well, like the like Train to Busan type zombies, because obviously like the stereotypical ones are so slow, and you're just a bit like in The Walking Dead, you're just kind of like outrun that. Whereas these are actually really scary ones.
Really scary.
I hate the noise they make, which was quite cool, because when we were at the screening before they showed the episode, it was like they turned all the lights off when we were in the pitch black, and they just put the sound of the click of the
and you got a real sense of the fan base there, because everyone in the cinema was like,
everyone was like, no, fuck that.
But no, you're right. So, and the idea with fungus, which I really like, the premise, and this is a world like Armageddon, where there's a few people left, and this kind of fungal infection type thing takes over the world. And I like the fact that it's slightly different to a virus. I thought it started brilliantly with that scene in the TV studio.
I was about to say that the first bit, before even the title.
Really like that.
It was really cool. Yeah, just in the newsroom.
In the newsroom with a couple of scientists.
Yeah, and he's talking about how what he thinks, that he's not scared of a pandemic, but what he thinks will happen is a fungus. And there's nothing we can do about it.
And I leant over to Maddie and I said, we need to watch out for Nanny Dye's toe.
Oh,
no, I know, sorry about that. Fungal, viral type thing, very resonant given that we've come out of the pandemic.
It was a bit scary. It was so weird watching something about a pandemic.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And so you had that...
was a virus.
Yeah, exactly. And so you had that preamble at the front. And what I really liked about this, I said to Maddie afterwards, was a little bit like weird comparison, Barbarian. It didn't mind taking the time at the front to bed us into this classic American suburban world, almost a bit Close Encounters-esque, ET-esque, this neighbourhood, had Pedro Pascal, his daughter.
And we love Pedro Pascal. I just love him so much. And he's just, like I've been saying, perfect cast for character Joel. He's just...
Yeah, you kept saying that, didn't you, as we went in?
He's just perfect to me. He looks like him. He was... And obviously when any fans of The Last of Us watch the series, just everybody's gonna love him,
I thought he did, I was saying to a friend of mine who was also at the screening, I thought he did a remark, as does his daughter, played by Nico Parker.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Beautiful.
She's such an amazing face.
I mean, her hair.
Yeah, she's just gorgeous.
Where did she come from? But I thought she and he, it's quite hard, did a remarkably efficient job of making us so believe in the intensity and the sort of lightness of humour in their relationship. It was a really warm relationship.
Yeah,
they did that in 10 minutes.
They worked so well together.
So well.
I loved the whole kind of, the whole first half, I guess, of the episode that was, setting up their relationship. And like you were saying, the whole suburban lifestyle type thing. And and like Barbarian, it was really patient and really took its time with getting into it, which I liked. And they did it well. It wasn't boring. It wasn't like, oh, come on, give us the action.
And I think more things could learn from
If anything, I wanted to keep that that.
I was about to say the same thing. I could have done.
They did it so well.
Yeah, they did it so well that I wanted to live in that world a little bit more. And,
Yeah.
I love the fact that his daughter, played by Nicola Parker, she had that lovely relationship, a little bit like ours, where she would rib him. She was, they treated each other a little bit equally.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a sort of I tell you what to do and she
No,
did it.
not at all.
And of course
They
you've
were
got
like mates as
yeah,
well.
exactly. And I was getting sort of like a Quiet Place vibes. On A Quiet Place 2, where they went back in time and you had the normal setup before the thing happened.
Yeah, it was.
But then this, and what I thought was, and also just a quick note, this is produced or made by the same team behind Chernobyl, which obviously was hugely sort of well respected and everyone loved it, and it got a lot of sort of kudos and awards. We watched the first episode and loved it, but Nadia was a bit sort of like
Didn't want to carry it on.
post-haste, didn't want to carry it on, and there was never a time to get it on. Anyway, but it had that same production value. I felt the story was tight, and so when it sort of morphs into, or we slowly begin to realise something's going wrong, with like all the emergency services and planes and all that malarkey, it happens next door.
Yeah, with an old lady.
And I thought there's a scene earlier on where oh my God, it was the creepiest moment where the girl was...
Oh yeah, they did it so well. It was Sarah's the name of the character. She was just looking at some books, wasn't she, in her house? And then it's like an out of focus shot of the old lady behind her, and she's kind of just gone...
Yeah, so like if you want to focus on the cinematic with a lens now, like you lean forward, I'll do it. And she was...
But wait, even
Way
more out of
worse.
focus, so it kind of made her face look completely...
And was the suggestion that spores were coming out of her?
Yeah, they have like the stuff comes out of her
That was
mouth.
such a gruesome detail that I've not seen in it. Because often you get like an alien, you get a mouth and a mouth and a mouth.
Yeah,
but this was just
that. It's just genuine
good sort of
fungi
fungal
coming out of her mouth.
And yes, so Sarah, who's Pedro Pascal's daughter, she's gone round there because there's this kind of, there's an old woman and she goes in to say hello, it's like going around she's doing her civic thing, she's looking after the elderly. But the elderly woman, this is where the horror resides.
It's gonna be Nanny Di if something like this happens.
Spoiler, oh my God, Nanny Di, and she's got the toe, and she could do the... So suffice it to say,
her shoulders cracking as she comes towards.
Yes. Oh yeah. So this was very much a kind of setting up episode. I mean, it was it was over an hour, wasn't it?
It was like an hour and 20.
20. It was reaching towards
It didn't feel long enough.
No.
I was saying it was that thing of, because obviously if you're in a cinema as well, you're expecting to be watching a film.
Yeah.
So when it ended with kind of, like an episode type cliffhanger, I was like, wait, no, I want to know it all now. It wouldn't have just been
everyone ran out and started stabbing each other because they were like, I need to see this now. And everyone was clicking like nutters.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. And then of course we flipped into something that I thought it could have dangerously slipped into the Walking Dead territory. And to the extent that any Armageddon apocalyptic kind of film where kind of zombie-like creatures are involved, one is always put in mind of The Walking Dead. But like you said, the difference with this is that they're rapid-moving kind of creatures. But I think they did a good job of teasing the monster or monsters and then holding them back.
I mean, yeah, but we with the first episode, we still have not seen the extent that they get to those zombies.
No, we saw a promo and it was a bit frightening there.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
But it's crazy to think after having watched that it's an episode for a series, because it was so immense.
Yeah,
I mean, it helped that it was on the IMAX screen, but it was so like immense for a first episode. It felt like just like I was properly invested in a movie.
And then of course we go towards the, we move to sort of second half or second part 20 years later. We won't give away for those of you who don't know the game. Anyone who knows the game, you'll know what's happened. I mean, Maddie made a good point because I was like, oh, doesn't that spoil it for you? You said it's like...
It was like if you read a book and then you watched the movie adaptation of it, you wouldn't... It just doesn't feel like a spoiler if you've known of it from something else, and then it's a spoiler if you see like the thing that you're actually planning to see and then you see the scene of it.
Exactly. And I'm guessing that perhaps the story, because it's a game and the story kind of goes wherever you want it to go. I suppose it's going to go wherever you can go. I thought it's one of the first films I've seen where there was a particular sequence in a car where they're trying to get away. Everyone's kind of evacuating. And I thought they did a really good job in that, where I would have thought it wouldn't have made it more cinematic, where they did the camera in the car where you felt like you were almost in Grand Auto Theft or whatever it is, Grand Theft Auto, where the camera was spinning round, so you had almost that first, but it made it more stressful.
No, 100%. I think they did that whole evacuate, like, everything kind of very quickly and suddenly falling apart. They did it really well. It was really believable. Because sometimes I feel like it's very much like, oh, I know they've just got a bunch of extras to go, on the screen, but it didn't really feel like that.
No, you're right. So I thought it was really successful at that. And then, of course, we've now met, by the end of this episode, we've met the sort of resistance. We've discovered, like it was always the way.
Fireflies.
Yeah, the Fireflies. And then there's Fedra, and, you know, there's humans who are controlling other humans whilst there's monsters. So you've got all this kind of power struggle, haven't you? And there's sort of... Which would happen. And it's that sort of, it's the, you know, in many ways, the humans are more frightening than the zombies, because with the zombies, you know what you're dealing with. And in a sense, the analogy here continues. Rishi Sunak is more worrying than Boris Johnson, because with Boris Johnson, you know what you're dealing with Rishi Sunak, you don't. Yeah, I got that, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
not sure how we got from The Last of Us to Rishi Sunak.
I thought it was a brilliant first episode, teeing us up for...
Yeah, what did you think of Ellie? So
Ellie
came into it quite late on into the episode. Yeah, but they're setting her up because she's the MC.
Now, you're saying Bella, they've come under a bit of stick for her casting, is that right? A sort of fan
she's getting a lot of...
She
doesn't
look conventionally...
Well, she doesn't look anything like the character Ellie. Right. And I think because Pedro Pascal is so like Joel...
Right.
It's just, I think she looks too not like Ellie, but people are just being unnecessarily mean about it.
Right.
But
so stop that.
But the acting, I thought she was great. I thought she was
great.
Good.
I thought she was.
I mean, there really was not much of her in the first episode at all. So we've not properly gotten to see her in full.
And I have to say, I always think that if one of your first scenes, it sounds a weird thing to say from a directorial and performance perspective, if one of your first scenes is not doing anything but being in a place, and effectively we first see her as she's captive.
Yeah.
You know, I think it must be much easier for an actor to get into their part. Obviously, it's not always shot sequentially.
Yeah.
When you've got business that you're doing stuff, your character, it's an extension of your character. You can kind of perform more naturalistically in it, and then you cut to a scene where, as an actor, you're asked to be in a cell, be chained up, and perform. It's really hard.
You know, it is hard. She had a hard.
Yeah.
That first episode, it was a hard job.
Yeah, but then as it released up, you could really feel the dynamic, and I think we're going to look forward to a really good dynamic.
they're going to have a good back and forth.
And I can see where his sort of paternalistic kind of thing is going to kick in. So I think it's well worth it. And
no, 100%. And I just can't wait to see the other episodes.
Is there
and
only
it's a mini-series, isn't it?
Is it just a mini? Why a mini-series?
Mini-series are always good, though.
Do you think I can only see 3 episodes there? But do you think that's just because they haven't put them in? Kind of hoping.
Maybe they're the only ones that are going to be released first.
What does it say at the top? There's same game. Post-apocalyptic television series.
Well, it doesn't say mini-series.
No, it doesn't. It's the largest television production in Canadian history. That's quite something, isn't it? Anyway.
But yeah, basically, we don't know how many episodes, but I can't wait to watch the other ones.
Oh, and a special shout out to Gustavo Santaolalla. I think maybe how you pronounce his name. He is the composer, and he did the music for films like 21 Grams. I was just talking to Christos about this. It was a fabulously dramatic, creepy, and evocative soundtrack. So it has all the heft of a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Check it out.
Thoroughly enjoyable.
Looking forward to episode 2.